Hey everybody, welcome back to Sit Fearlessly. Woo woo! We are so excited to be here today. Oh my God, with yet another amazing episode of Sit Fearlessly. We have an amazing guest in the building. I'm so excited to get down to the nitty gritty with Miss Victoria Jen. But first, I want to do a pulse check. How are you guys doing? How's the summer treating you? Because this Mercury retrograde has been kicking my ass. And I know I'm not the only one. So I just want to do a pulse check, send you guys a lot of love, take it easy, try to rest a little, try to relax, get your thoughts together, because that's definitely something that I'm going to do. Like the ripping and running, I am done with it. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the summer and, strategize for Q4 because it is fast approaching. But definitely take the time for yourself and pour into yourself because it's been a tough one. So just wanted to share that with you guys. But without further ado, we have Miss Victoria Jen in the building.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Of course, I'm so excited. I haven't seen you in such a long time.
I know.
We just came out of your amazing KIKI soiree.
Yes,
Let's
lovely.
talk about that a little bit. We
Okay.
had so much fun. There were so many gorgeous, amazing women in the building. Like the energy was just
It was.
awesome.
It was almost like serendipitous because everyone in the room, I feel like, just blended so well with everyone else. It was almost like I literally handpicked every person, but I didn't.
Yes.
But it felt like I did.
Yes.
And I think that just speaks to the time and the messaging of what I was trying to put together. Like it did attract a specific type of woman that's in a specific period of life
Yes.
that is just looking to connect in a very different but deeper way.
Yes. And we kikied.
We sure did. We sure did, Kiki.
We ate some delicious food from the Dominican chef at his restaurant.
Yes, we did.
We went to dance salsa after. Like it was just such an incredible night. And I myself have been trying to be like more intentional and like just opening up myself and like meeting other women, meeting other people. So I definitely wanted to go by myself, and I did. And I also wanted to see you and share
Yes.
space with you, So I think that I want to encourage a lot of women to get out of your comfort zone and put yourself out there, because there are amazing women putting amazing things like this together where you can meet some like-minded individuals. And like I said, the energy was just amazing. One little thing that I do want to touch on before we move on is I love the affirmations that you put in the gift bags.
Did you?
Oh
Good.
my God. Like, I feel like everyone had an affirmation that kind of matched with what was going on in their life.
I love that.
It was like so incredible. Like, I remember I called my BF and I was like, what the hell? Like, this was so
That's the
crazy. Like, the
universe.
two things that I had to speak about literally is like in alignment with what's going on in my life. So that was pretty incredible. But yeah, I
That's the
loved it.
universe, and
Yes.
that's why I truly believe that every woman that was there was meant to be there, right? Because it's bigger than us. It really is. And when we choose to like show up and like get out of our comfort zone, like magic truly happens. And those gift bags, I literally made the day of. I went to go buy the bags like that morning. Because I wasn't gonna give any gift bags, but I was like, you know what? Let me do something cute. And I had these affirmation cards like in my house that I hadn't even opened. It was the first time I opened it, and I was like, let me put one in each of the bags and do something cute and small. It has such a big impact. So I'm
loved
really
it.
happy it landed with you.
Yes, I loved it. And I can't wait for the next one.
Ditto, girl.
yeah.
I am putting the planning touches on it right now.
I love it. I love it. But let's get down to Victoria Jen.
Okay.
Okay. So you went from Wall Street to running the streets as a CEO. Okay. What was the boldest decision you made in that transition that had everyone like side-eyeing you, but that you knew it was your glow-up move? And you can share a little bit of your background too.
Wow. So I was in corporate for 15 years, and then 8 years ago is when I decided to call it quits, bet on myself, and see how far I could go. And I would say that, the glow up moment was really not for anyone else. It was really for me. And it was like me, A, making the decision to bet on myself and do it, and B, figuring out how to make more than I had ever made in my corporate career. Like, to me, that was like, wow, like, you did it. Like, you figured it out. Like, you don't have to go back. Like, you've learned the formula. And I think for me, that was my biggest glow up moment, because it was a proof to myself. It was my own validation. I didn't need validation from anybody else. It was like, I did this, I can do this, And I was really, really proud of myself. And I think that type of belief is something that has allowed me to survive for the last 8 years because
Right.
it is definitely a roller coaster.
Yes.
To be on your own and constantly every day make the conscious decision to
Yeah.
bet on yourself. It's one of the most hardest things you will ever have to do. You know, working a 9 to 5 has its own challenges as well, but there's nothing like having to completely depend on yourself to eat.
Yes.
Like a check is not coming in every
It's
week.
crazy.
You like literally have to
Yeah.
set that up in order for that to happen.
Right.
Versus in a 9 to 5, it's kind of agreed upon when you take on the job, like I'm gonna get paid every week, every 2
Right.
weeks, whatever it is, right?
It's hard.
Yeah.
So I commend you, and I think that, if you want to share like some gems on how you were able to transition. I know you
Okay.
learned the formula, things like that, but women always ask me like, how can I do it? How can I go from a 9 to 5 to whole entrepreneurship? Like there are some steps that we do need to take before we do that, because it is very, very difficult and very challenging. And like you said, we depend on ourselves, on when the next meal is coming or when the next opportunity is coming.
Right.
We are no longer working 9 to 5. Now we're working 24 hours a day, pretty
Right.
much.
Yeah.
Weekends, all of that.
Yeah.
So share like a little bit of like, what was your strategy in the transition?
Okay. My little sister posted something recently on Instagram and she was like, I quit my 9 to 5 to work 24/7. I was like, oh my God, that's so real.
Exactly.
I think I'll share some steps of what made me comfortable with making the decision, right? So I had a savings. I had at least a year of savings. So I knew that I had something to hold me down if I couldn't figure out how to make money. So that was number one. Number two, I also built a really solid network, right? 15 years in the corporate sector,
Yeah.
I built a lot of relationships. So I also knew, you know what, worst case scenario, I could always find a job. Like, I'm not worried. There could always be another plan if this plan doesn't work out. And that, I think, is significantly important for anybody who's looking to transition, is to think about the possible outcomes so that you can be prepared,
Yes.
right? So if you want to leave, have some money in the bank to hold you down for those months where you might not have anything coming. You don't know when you're going to start making money, right? So it's important for you to have that stash so that you just feel more confident in your decision. Not that you can't do it without the savings, it's just so that you feel more confident in making the
Absolutely.
decision. Also, while you're in your 9 to 5 role, like build relationships, because those people will become your clients. All of my
Yes.
former employers are now my clients, right? So build the relationships, perform, outperform, make sure you are going above and beyond, because that reputation is going to serve you well when you do go out on your own, right? People will be more inclined to have a conversation with you or give you business or make an introduction on your behalf if they already work with you in the 9 to 5 space,
Very
right?
true.
I would also say, if you have an opportunity to build your business plan while you are still getting paid from your 9 to 5, that's also a really smart move to take as well, because now your business, your employer is essentially your first business sponsor, right? And I always tell my students inside the Dare to Leap Academy, which is an academy that I started teaching women how to make the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship, because when I did it and I was successful at it, so many women were asking me, like, how the hell do you do it? Same thing that
Right.
they're asking you. And I was like, you know what, let me just put together this framework and actually teach the step-by-step process for you to make the transition. And it's my framework. It's what worked for me, right? So that's how I know that it works.
Yes.
And so I always advise, while you're still working, like, get your hustle on now, right? Figure out what your skill sets are. Get people to start paying you money now, because again, it's going to build your confidence for when you do choose to go out on your own. You're like, oh wait, I got people paying me already.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Exactly.
could do this, you
Yes.
know? And it's important because your mindset literally is the foundation of everything that we do. So it will either deter you or propel you. And so it's important for you to have these like markers that set you up for success mentally,
Yes.
so that you can make the transition and not feel like you have no other options, or be so afraid that you just don't make the decision at all. You just
Right.
continue in the cycle of same old, same old.
I think those are great strategies. It's important to do it that way. And also, something I would add is look into your retirement plans also. Look into your 401k if you have one, right, with the company you're working for. See what that looks like if you liquidate it. Put your money into life insurance, cash value life insurance, which a lot of people don't know about. Definitely have those backup financial systems in place.
Absolutely.
Because, and even when you step out and let's say you're successful the first year, it isn't always going to be like that all the time. There are going to be highs and lows. So for those low times, you want to be able to be set up in that way. But definitely great strategy. Well, listen, during that time, some people have imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And everyone knows you as the Imposter Syndrome Killah.
Yes.
Okay? So tell us, have you ever had a moment where imposter syndrome tried to sneak back in? And how did you handle it like a boss?
So imposter syndrome plays a role in all of our lives unconsciously, like without us even realizing it.
Right.
Because whenever you make the decision to color outside the lines, to go against the grain, to do something that you weren't raised to do, to take a risk, you're always gonna have these moments of feeling like, oh shit, can I do this? Like,
Right.
am I enough to do this? Like, do I have enough experience? Do I have enough credibility? Like, what are people gonna say? Like, we're human. That is, I think, the natural response. And it's how we navigate those emotions that I really think bring you on the other side. So to share an example, my podcast. So Banking on Cultura, I started 2 years ago. Never had a podcast before, never was in the production space. All that I knew is that I love to be on camera, honey,
Right.
okay? And I love to educate my community. I love to talk my shit, and I love to look cute. That's all I knew.
Yes.
And I knew I had some shit to say, but I didn't know anything else. So I literally had to learn everything from scratch. And that made me feel like, ooh, like, can I do this? Like, is this
Right.
even possible? Like, what are people gonna say? Like, what are they gonna think, you know? And so I had to really sit with those thoughts and think about like, and have the personal conversations and look myself in the mirror and be like, yo, V, you can do this. Like,
Right.
you got this. Like,
Right.
just be yourself and the people will show up and you'll figure it out. Just like you figure out everything else. Like, the one thing that women are spectacular at
Is figuring shit out.
is figuring shit out. When we decide,
Yes.
like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out, we figure it out.
That is so true.
And so just playing up those strengths and using examples of how I, did things that I'd never done before. Like I was the first one in my family to go to college, first one in my family to work on Wall Street, first one in my family to make 6 figures. Like, I'm used to doing difficult things and
love
being the
that,
first.
yes.
So I can do this too, right? And I
Yes.
think for all of us, whenever we're elevating to the next version of ourselves and we are evolving, we all have to have that conversation and remind ourselves, like, you got this, like, you've done this before.
Right.
You can figure this out.
Right, absolutely. I mean, we're also in a market that's like oversaturated, right, per se. So where do you draw the line also between what is imposter syndrome, or when there's some folks trying to get into a space where they really don't have any experience or education on?
Well, I think we're talking about 2 different things. Like, imposter syndrome doesn't always necessarily mean that you're going into a space you've never been in before.
Right.
So, for example, Jennifer Lopez, Oprah, Tony Robbins have all recently said that they feel imposter syndrome, and they've been
Right.
doing this for years.
a long time, right.
So it doesn't necessarily automatically mean you're about to do something new. It could just mean you're entering a different phase in your life where you are questioning your expertise, or you're questioning, like, what do I want to do? Like, where am I going next? How am I going to make something happen? There could be a multitude of things. What's happening in politics? Like, there could be
Right.
so many things that are impacting why you feel less confident about something, or why you feel like you don't belong, which really is what imposter syndrome is centered on. It's you feeling like you just got lucky to get into a room, or you don't really belong in a room even though you have all these accolades and you have all the experience. So that's imposter syndrome. Walking into spaces that you got no business walking into because you haven't done your homework,
Right.
or you haven't, paid your respects, put in any type of sweat equity. I think that's something else. But I also am a fan of that, because how else are you going to get in the room? You got to
Right.
actually insert yourself into the damn room. And
Right.
you might make a fool of yourself. You might trip over your own feet, but that's how you're going to learn.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. That is true. But you know what I noticed also, before we get off the topic on imposter syndrome, that sometimes imposter syndrome is connected to things that are lacking in your life, right? Let's say it's you lack like a way to make connections or you're lacking the finances, right? Things like that. I feel like that also affects people and makes them feel like, can I really do this? You know, am I about this? Like, you know, things like that. I feel like people put value in some of those things versus putting value in themselves and believing in themselves.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think there's a difference between confidence and imposter syndrome. And a lack of confidence is what will stir up your imposter syndrome, right?
Exactly.
So if you're feeling like you lack in some area, that's a confidence issue, which some might even argue it's a belief system issue. It might be you're not lacking in anything. You just don't believe in yourself enough to go accomplish A, B, C, and D, right? But what if you believe in yourself and you're fully qualified and you still feel like you don't belong? That's imposter syndrome.
Right. Absolutely. Well, you've trained over 20,000 leaders, but what's the one mindset shift you had to train yourself to fully embody, to be able to communicate to 20,000 leaders and, you know, impose your message on them?
Ask that same question to me differently, because I want to make sure I'm fully understanding what you're asking me.
So you trained 20,000 leaders, right? You had to make a mindset shift in order to be able to train folks, especially a room full of 100, 200 folks. Like, what mindset shift did you have to make to be able to do that and evoke your message?
So it's really interesting because I always get asked, like, where does your confidence come from? Like, how are you so confident? And it's a difficult question to answer because I feel like I was born with it. Like, I don't think there was ever a time in my life where I felt like I can't just go out there and talk to people.
Right.
I think that's a gift that was given to me, and God was like, I'm using you in this way. I'm using you to use your voice. I'm using you to be bold. I'm using you to be audacious. I'm using you to, like, make people uncomfortable. That's what I'm using you for. And I think because he's using me in that way, it's why I'm able to be so comfortable in my own skin. But with that being said, I still get nervous before coming on a podcast. I still get nervous before, you know, going to speak in front of 20,000 people, like, because I'm human. Like, you're like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I'm doing this. It's crazy. You know, so I think that those moments will organically, inevitably come up because I am human. But to operate in my purpose and what I truly believe God has granted me as a gift actually comes very natural to me.
Nice. I love that. Well, kudos to you.
Thank you.
You've worked with many giants, right? Giant companies, Amazon, Coca-Cola, Morgan Stanley, so on and so forth. What do you think corporate still doesn't get about emotional intelligence in leadership?
Ooh, I really believe that corporate does not understand the significance of empathetic leadership. Meaning, you don't always have to be a thug. You don't always have to be aggressive to get your point across. You don't always have to be the authoritative person in the room. Like, you can actually allow other people to contribute, allow other people to lead, which will make you that much more of a better leader. I think in a lot of these environments, it's super cutthroat, especially depending on the industry. I grew up in finance. Super cutthroat, you know what I mean? And as a Latina and as a woman, honey, let me tell you something. Let me share a story.
Okay.
Because I was an intern at Lehman Brothers when I was in college, and I was shadowing some sales and trading people on the sales and trading desk, all dudes. So my mentor brings me down. She's like, I want you to shadow them for the day. Like, just pay attention to what's going on. So I'm listening to them. You know, they're throwing out trays. They're cursing. They're loud. They're obnoxious. They're laughing. High pressure, high, you know, energy. And so he comes to me at the end of the day and he was like, what did you think? Like, how was your experience? And I was like, that was fucking awesome. And he was like, right? And I was like, yes. Do you know that this man goes back to my mentor and tells her, I think it was unprofessional for her to curse. Meanwhile, I'm at a desk with a whole bunch of men who are cursing out the wazoo, but it was unprofessional for me to curse. And so that is the type of stuff that still goes down in corporate America. Because you're a woman, you shouldn't use certain words. Because you're a woman, you shouldn't dress this way. Because you're a woman, you shouldn't look this way. Or you shouldn't handle other people this way. Or you shouldn't run your meetings this way. So outside of empathetic leadership, which I think blends into this as well is we still have these gender roles that are high at play in the corporate setting, which actually is hindering the bottom line of a lot of these organizations, because they'll call on a woman when shit hits the fan for us to come in and fix it, and we fix it. But by the time we're done fixing it, we're done and we leave.
Yes.
Right? Because we're burnt out.
Right.
We leave. And now all that intellectual property has left the building. All of that leadership has left the building. All of that emotional intelligence has left the building, and now they have to start from ground zero again.
Right.
Versus actually making women a part of the overall growth of the organization versus just calling on her when shit hits the fan.
Right.
I think that's another opportunity. And then the last thing I'll add here, as you can see, I got a lot to say
I
on
love
this.
it. I love it. Yes.
Is there needs to be better training for leaders on communication.
Yes.
They don't know how to communicate.
I agree with that. Yes.
And they don't know how to have tough conversations. So when it comes to providing someone feedback, they are very passive aggressive, which is like setting yourself up for failure, because it's like nobody learns when you're being passive aggressive,
very
and
true.
nobody wins because you're not being clear on what is the issue, so there's no
Exactly.
opportunity to actually fix it.
Right.
So that's a huge opportunity, I think, as well in the corporate space.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, like you said, it's a setup for failure, because they know that something's wrong. They don't communicate it well, and then you still get the short end of the stick at the end of the day and get let
Right.
go, or whatever, whatever whatever is the consequence that happens. But it was because of their leadership, and they didn't communicate effectively. It could have all been changed if they would have done that. So I agree.
Or they don't know how to take someone's strengths and apply them.
Yes.
So in my corporate career, I always got the same feedback. Wow, Victoria, you're great, but you're too much. Like, you need to tone down.
Interesting.
Yes, throughout my entire career. Everyone loves you. You're amazing. Meanwhile, I'm making wins for the team
Right.
all the time, right? But that's what they told me. You're too much. You need to tone it down. And I don't think that there's enough education or training around what that does. Like me, God uses me, so thankfully, like, you say that shit to me, and I'm like, well, then you need to tone up.
Right.
Like, I don't need to tone down. You need to turn up. Like,
Right.
But for someone else who
Right.
doesn't have that same gravitas, right? I grew up in
Right.
New York. I grew up with a single dad. Like, that already gives me a little bit more thicker skin.
Yes.
But let's say someone's from fucking Idaho and they come into this corporate space, super smart, can contribute tremendously to the team, and you give them that type of feedback, they might go into their silo and never come back out again.
Right.
Right? And so they're not speaking up at meetings anymore.
Right.
They're not, sharing ideas. They're just keeping their
Right.
head down. And that doesn't really help the organization
Absolutely
move forward.
not.
Right?
Absolutely not. Oh my God, these were all great gems. I hope you guys are going to take notes, because this was all great. Your Dare to Leap Academy helps women go from stuck to secure entrepreneurship. What's the biggest mistake you see corporate baddies make when launching their own business?
The biggest mistake I would say that they make is not selling themselves. They're very afraid to talk about themselves, to talk about their expertise,
Yes.
to ask for the money. They just don't want to sell themselves. And nobody's gonna know what you have to offer unless you tell them.
Right.
Nobody's gonna know what you have to buy unless what you have to sell unless you tell them. Like, they won't be able to buy anything from you unless you
Right.
tell them what it is that you're selling, right? And so you have to open your mouth. Like, you have to speak, and you have to become more confident in asking people to pay you for money. And
Yes.
that is a huge
And asking
area
for you
within
for what you
entrepreneurship
deserve.
that will determine if you're going to be successful or not.
Right.
And I think many of them make the mistake that they don't have to ever be on camera, or they don't have to speak up. People are just going to acknowledge that they're smart and they should just get paid because they went to school for 4
Right.
years and then they got their MBA. And it's like, no, the smartest person doesn't get paid. It's the
true.
person who's able to sell.
That's true.
That's the person that
That's
gets paid.
true. That's true. And that's difficult because, everybody is not comfortable in that space.
Right.
So make sure you guys join the academy, okay? So your podcast, Banking Our Cultura, which I love because you talk about all of these areas, right? You emphasize these areas, you shed light on these areas, especially for women. So congratulations, because it's making waves with over 11 million impressions. What's been the juiciest or most unexpected conversation that left you in shock?
The juiciest unexpected conversation. I would say that I'll share some of my favorite conversations.
Okay.
Because I think that they were the conversations that were able to talk about the stuff that we don't normally talk about in a public setting. And one of the conversations was about the animosity that exists within the Latino community and how we are racist and how we judge each other and how we hold each other back all the time. So that was a really powerful conversation that I'm really happy we were able to have. Another powerful conversation was around, how Dominicans and Puerto Ricans treat each other within the community and the tension that exists between the Black community and the Latino community. I think that was really powerful. So whenever those conversations come up, I love it because we need to have those type of difficult conversations to shed the light like, hey, this exists, even though we kind of all know it does. Nobody really likes to talk about it because it's like doesn't make us look good. But we need to talk about it, right? Because that's the only way we're going to be able to work through it. So whenever those conversations come up, is really spicy. I also recently had LL Cool J's wife, Simone Smith, on the show, and she was sharing her life of how it is married to a sex symbol and how she was able to survive that. And
that's crazy.
And how she had to do her own growing and how she had to do her own self-reflection to manage her own insecurities in that. Like anything that is raw, real, authentic are always really exciting for me because we need more of that. We need more of those type of conversations.
I love it. I love that you're having these real raw conversations. Like for me, I've mentioned this before, when I first started my women's empowerment journey, like a lot of Black women were the ones that were supporting me. It was so hard for me to like connect with my Latino community. And I'm very Latina, you know, and it was so hard. And it was mostly Black women that were supporting me, coming out to the events, you know. So that's something that I've been working on nurturing more because, you know, like, hello, we got to stick together and support each other.
Absolutely.
But we're running out of time. I'm so sad.
Okay.
All right. So really quick, let's play Sip or Spill. What's something about being a CEO nobody warned you about, but you wish they did?
What's something somebody didn't warn me about, but wish they did with being a CEO? I wish that I was warned about how difficult it is dating as a CEO.
You know what? We're going to leave it right there. And we're going to pick this up with part 2 because I do want to talk about those areas because I know that's something you're very vocal about. So let everyone know where they can follow you, all of that good stuff. And we'll be back for part 2, guys.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So you can follow me across all social media platforms at I am Victoria Jen. Victoria Jen Rodriguez is the full name. You can Google me, girl. I've done a lot of work on making sure that when you put my name in the search engines, eyes come up, okay? So just put in Victoria Jen Rodriguez and you'll see me come up. And if you are coming to my community through this podcast, please let me know. I would love to get to learn more about you. And also I love to know where people come from. You know what I mean? So definitely introduce yourself if you find me.